Hello, guys, gals, non binary pals. Thank you for joining us for a little bit of a different episode on Girl Pod. If you are watching this in the month of February, it is still the month of love. So, for something completely different, I'm writing a bit of a love letter for this episode. Between the three of us on Girl Pod, we work very hard to try to make sure you get a podcast that you enjoy each week. So, even when schedules don't align so well, we want to make sure that you have something you can enjoy. So this is it. My love letter to the podcast, to Gamer Social Club, and most of all to you who show up each week. So first, I'll start with the podcast and with V. Most of you know we started talking about the podcast as a bit of a joke when she missed the news podcast one week. What you probably don't know is that the first DM I ever got from V on Discord was her saying she was only half joking about a girl pod. I'd been with Gamer Social Club for about 6-ish months at the time, so obviously at that point I'd interacted in group chats with V and during like Gamer Social Club meetings because yes, we are professional unprofessionals who do get together to talk about site things from time to time. But this also lined up with me wanting to do a podcast and not knowing what to do or if I do it solo or with someone. So, of course, when she messaged me, I said yes. What I never could have anticipated is that the friendship that has grown would become so wonderful since that first DM. I remember being a bit nervous leading up to our episode 0. What would we talk about? Would I need an intro? Would I flub it? Would there be no chemistry? Am I awful on camera after almost 3 years being a VTuber now? So I wrote a script, which sometimes we stick to, and we had some chatter about how the structure would go to get it ready. But then episode 0 happened, and some segments come and go, but Fantasy Guest was born from that, and now it's a mainstay. And I realized that I was having so much fun chatting with someone that without Gamer Social Club, I would have never met V. Now she randomly gets DMs for me about everything ranging from games to politics, for better or worse, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Although she has to play Overwatch now, so maybe she'll regret sending that DM. But in all seriousness, the podcast wouldn't exist without that message, and I am so grateful that she sent that because this has been such a fun journey. And of course, if you have been watching everything or listening, you know that we aren't taking that journey alone. Funny enough, in the timeline, 3 days prior to V messaging me about GirlPod is when I would receive my first DM from Brit. I had recently made my bio on Discord some music lyrics that Brit recognized, and we were both making our way through Date Everything. This was before the embargo was up, so we couldn't talk to anybody else about it, so we could talk to each other about it. And we talked through some aspects of the game that really shaped how guides would go for the website. Britt is also a streamer, so even after those conversations, there were times that I would just lurk in her chat for the chill vibes. Occasionally, I would say a thing or two, but it was really our conversations for Date Everything that let me know how chill Britt was and that she was totally someone that I could vibe with. So, of course, once GirlPod hit a stride that felt comfortable, familiar, stable, and we really thought about now that we have this routine, what about adding some more voices? Britt was the one I reached out to. I didn't know at the time that we lived in the same state or that we'd have more in common or that her tagline would basically be cozy is what you make of it. But it was just a match, and I knew that Britt was the one to reach out to. So, with both of my co hosts, it has been an absolute blast. I've gotten to learn more about these amazing humans. I've gotten to hear the good, the bad, the in between. We've shared stories about families, our partners, friendships, sports, and quite a few drinks between all of us. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way, which of course leads to Gamer Social Club. This is where it all starts, where it all stems from. I don't know how I managed to see that post from Dano at the right time to join this ragtag crew, but I did. And I may have mentioned this on the podcast, but if I haven't, when I was a little girl, I thought it'd be amazing to be a journalist. At the time, I really thought I'd get into music journalism and I'd review albums and I'd write for Rolling Stone or Alternative Press. And I still absolutely love music. I don't have the ear to review it critically. And as I got older, that dream just faded a little bit. The real world set in, and I never bothered studying journalism. Media was still something I was extremely passionate about. So I did get a degree in media studies, which, if you heard me and V talking about media literacy and the lack of media literacy, you probably heard me sound pretentious and say that a few times. But after that, I had no idea what to do with a degree in media studies, and I got a degree in school counseling, which I still have no idea what to do with that either, so good luck to me, I guess. But on November 25th, 2024, I send Dano a message on Discord, and he takes a chance on me. I had done some writing on my own and written about games that I played and enjoyed, but never for a site like Gamer Social Club. He easily could have said, no thanks, but we chatted, and soon after I had my first game. Since then, it has felt like a steady stream of games, good, bad, and in between, but I have enjoyed so much time with this site, and it's grown beyond just the website. It's the people in Discord where I can now be your Discord guru. It's the people who write for the site, and even those who used to write for the site but maybe don't write for it anymore that I've gotten to know. It's this entire new world that has brought so much joy to my life and has woken up that little girl who once upon a time said, I want to be a journalist, and makes her feel like she is one. But not a single bit of this exists without the people who keep coming back. And this isn't just the people who come back for the podcast, because there's also the website. And without the website, the podcast doesn't exist. But without the community, the site doesn't exist. And that's where each of you come in, returning to the site and getting your news there day after day, trusting our process, trusting our reviews, our words, being excited for us when things like Metacritic happen, right? Supporting each other in different endeavors and chatting with us is, I know I've used the word amazing a bit, but it is amazing to watch and to be a part of. Many people may not understand why the name Gamer Social Club was chosen, and even though the initial thinking may not have been what it evolved into, it is so amazing to see and be a part of it. I know I use that word amazing again. Gaming brings us together as a group, and while that's the initial bond, the site, the Discord, and the podcast are so much more. It's a social group for people to share their thoughts that go deeper than just gaming, in a space where they feel safe enough to be their honest selves. Whether it's something as sharing their pronouns or sharing how they identify, right? Talking about new relationships, talking all the way to mental health conversations that have happened. It is a community where people can exist without stigmas and find other people to be their people, their tribe, their friends. And maybe it's just that the world needs more of that, but I think it really shows how special all of this is. I think this is where I can speak for the entire podcast and say, we're just really lucky to be a part of it. So I'm going to wrap up this very brief, small filler episode by saying, in this stereotypical month of love and appreciation, thank you. To my fellow co-hosts, as they say in Wicked, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. To the overall GSC community, so much love to you as we wrap up this Valentine's month. Just so you know that while it comes out in February to meet a loving algorithm, and I know many of you took part in the game of the month where we played some dating sims, just know that we appreciate you all of the time. And if you haven't felt the love or appreciation, take this as your note. You are amazing, you are wonderful, and you are so appreciated. This is not like a goodbye or anything. This is just me making sure that you have something to listen to. I promise that we will be back to the nonsense next episode. Just want to make sure that on this Monday morning, if you're listening to it the day that it comes out, or whenever it is that you listen to it, you know that you are loved, you are wonderful, you are appreciated. So with that, go ahead, listen to the next episode if it's out. We'll see you next time. We'll be back to the nonsense. Bye.